Okay, so it was required to me to talk about more developments, let's say, and how to strengthen in the peer review methodology thanks to our experience from the past. And I really thank you for inviting me to this meeting because we are still working, as already Luca mentioned, together in Quantum Project, but also others. So I'm really happy to share our expertise as Formazione in this field and what we see as further opportunities to strengthening again this methodology. I start a bit from what happened in the past as first experience through a Leonardo da Vinci project that developed the methodology, and it was also thanks to Maria Gututag-Miner that this work on the methodology started, and it was mainly focused on initial VET at that time, and then they elaborated the outputs that we know now are those also available for other educational domains. So the first manual was set up, was designed, and explaining, the methodology, how it works, and what we already have seen today from other speakers. This cycle from the planning phase until the review one, and the role of peers, and so on. And the toolbox was defined, detailing some different tools that are really useful, starting from some very practical, for instance, related to how to better collect information by interviewing people, teachers, or other key actors involved in the peer review, until one of the probably the most important, in my opinion, tool, which are in this case of the initial VET, the 14 quality areas that are a detailed reference document, let's say, very specific for the educational domains, in this case, the vocational education and training, and indicating criteria, indicators, and the evidence to collect. So I used to say that are really a learning tool that could be used for by everyone started working in quality assurance in VET to learn what exactly is to take into account, to monitor, and to be evaluated in order to ensure quality. And then a lot of experimentation after this. What I wanted to say by starting from this brief history of peer review, that we are now learning now, also thanks of Kuhn speech, what is the evolution of this methodology. So I think it is important exactly adopting this again continuous improvement approach, this virtuous circle, to effectively evaluate what happened in the past, starting from what went wrong, what went well, lessons learned, and so sharing the knowledge about the projects developed in the past to go further, to go beyond these piloting activities, the experimentations, in order to trying to systematize this kind of methodology used. So after this first project, as mentioned in the European in the peer review network website, there were some original projects. So other peer review extended second that were addressing other countries. For instance, the first one, Germany, or also Hungary and Spain, defining different scenarios at national level. And so the peer review extended to was also addressing Czech Republic, Turkey, and Slovenia, and also delivered the first European peer review training, so always a step forward. And then the peer review impact for the first time was focused on how to measure the impact of these quality assurance activities after their implementation. So it was more focused on equipping vet providers, the actors involved in how to assess the results of these quality assurance activities. And then there are more related to, let's say, the developments of peer reviews. So mainly was transfer of innovation at the time of Leonardo da Vinci project, but then transfer projects, and there are some dots there because I think that we are not fully aware of how many different projects focusing on peer review have been developed around Europe, and this is something I have the need of, because it is important, as I said at the beginning of my speech, to have a clear picture, so to really start learning from what happened in that project and to really go further. But what we found, for instance, from these samples, are that the peer review, again, the methodology could be really very well adapted to the different education domains. So European Guide and European Guide WOC were focused on guidance, and the first one on guidance for adults, and the second one also including this recognition and validation of competencies process that, for instance, now is really high in the European agenda, including this specific designing of the process of validation of non-formal and informal learning. And then, for instance, there was this one more separate, one more related to how to apply peer review to evaluate international activities and so mobilities or exchange of students or peer learning activities at transnational level. And then it comes Praline. It comes, I say, because it was the project we led in a new Erasmus programming period, Erasmus Plus programming period, that was focused on how to adapt the peer review methodology to the adult learning sector. So once again, we tried to use this quality assurance methodology for a sector where no criteria, indicators, and tools were developed until then. And was Praline project, you can find also on the website. Again, it is still functioning, and you can find all the tools, of course, the adaptation of the manual and the toolbox, and specifically the quality areas, which are different, as you can see, for instance, from what I mentioned at the beginning about initial vets, that there were 14 quality areas. Of course, we introduced in the adult education also a different terminology, let's say, using some words that are more understandable for both the learners, the adults, and the adult sector experts and practitioners. So, for instance, not talking about curriculum, but better on educational offer, considering the diversity of both the providers and the kind of offer of educational training, vocational offer delivered, planned and delivered in the adult education sector. As well, the quality area 2 is quite important. It's about these support services for adults that are really key services, so need to be really monitored and evaluated from a quality assurance point of view. And all the others that we developed only 11 instead of 14, let's say gathering some specificities in only one quality area. And what we did in that project is exactly that we adapted the methodology. And so we learned, first of all, through transnational training for trainers, how to use now this methodology for the adult education sectors, and how these trainers trained at transnational level could be also able to train peers at national level. At that time, I like to remember Catal's involvement in transnational trainings because it was really effective. It was also something really new for the adult education sector that is now again high in the European agenda, and especially for us in Italy. And so we also organized this training at national level. And we piloted the peer review methodology for the adult education sector in different countries, Italy, Portugal, Lithuania, and again, Inga was involved too, so I have many professional friends today here, and Malta and French. So this was about, let's say, the development, so how we further developed the methodology in different contexts and domains. But also it is important to think about how to strengthen the peer review methodology, and it was something that we are aware and are still involved in, but also other key actors. Of course, again, also Annie here is one of the main expert on this. So the first one was this experience. Really, we started from there, but I wanted to put it under this strengthening the peer review, and was about this project that for the first time experimented the transnational peer reviews in vocational education and training, also involving as partner one organization working with ISO, so those who let's say issue the certification, so just to try to compare the different methodologies. And then we are also working in this activity with Lithuania, how to introduce the European peer review in their school and that system. And as a point of strength on how to strengthen the peer review methodology, I really like to share with you this experience we are now starting with one project and quantum project, because on we are focused now with these two projects on the review phase, and it was already mentioned as the let's say crucial phase also in this peer review at system level, because it's really how to put into practice what has been evaluated by the peers and effectively change the things, and also effectively according to quality assurance language, let's say, and terminology, is how to continuously improve. Otherwise, if we, as it happened, as was one of the weak points, let's say, of the peer reviews experimented at that provider level, that if we stop at the end of the evaluation project and not giving around again in implementing ineffectively, trying to change the situation according to what was evaluated, of course, the system, it doesn't work, it doesn't improve continuously as it's meant to be according to quality assurance methods. So And it's also for the one project who is focused on applying the peer review in the adult education sector and to strengthen the role also of adult education national networks. It's something really in line with what I learned today, because it's trying to open to different key actors involved in the sector, and not only the vet or adult education providers, but also the other key stakeholders. So let them start learning about this methodology and be key actors in evaluating, in producing data, in informing the system, and also because we have the chance to have these international teams working with peer review. So it's something really valuable for mutual learning and professional growth of all the parties involved, and it will be developed in Portugal, Italy, and Slovakia. And the Quantum project, as also Luca said, it's more focused on vocational education and training, but again is about setting up and testing a new model for quality assurance based again on quality networks approach. So something we learned from the past for sure was the importance to involve the key actors in the process in acting effectively as peers, in being involved in producing data information, in being engaged in monitoring and evaluating the activity, so to effectively produce the right approaches for the review phase. And this is what we expect also is to increase this trust, transparency among the different actors by knowing better each other and what are the expectations and expected impacts also for them and for the system, and common understanding. So I think I'll stop here. Thank you.